Good morning, you guys. It is Kelly. What is it?
It's Thursday.
It's Thursday, or whatever that hump day way that you speak. But Thursday needs a nickname.
A hump day.
I kind of feel bad. I feel bad that Monday kind of has a bad rap. Friday has the best rep. And then Tuesday and Thursday are kind of just like invisible. Nobody really acknowledges the significance of Tuesday and Thursday. We should give it a name. I know I heard Thursday. Throwback Thursday.
There you go.
Michelle does have a name. The name is Thursday. Name. All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right. 3 deep breaths in and out. Awesome. All right. Why do we do that? For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, is because we're just breathing in good, breathing out bad, just trying to get our head in that space of positive mindset to start our day. We want to win our morning so we can win our day. I'm Paula. This is Michelle. This is Kelly. And we are HEROMOM Master Coaches for HEROMOM Legacy Academy. And this is how we want to start our day. And we love doing it with you guys. The next thing we love to do is to find something that we're grateful for, but make it simple. Who has one that wants to go first? Michelle?
I'm grateful for my legs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I've been in this terrible pain flare and crazy flare since before Thanksgiving. And the last week and a half, I think I've done more than I did in those almost 4 months. And I'm still not using my cane. Even when I went to get my hair done, my hairstylist is like, look at you walking in here with no cane.
Yeah.
So it kind of dawned on me yesterday, like how active I've been. And my legs are great. Like, and usually that's, even Kelly, when you were here a couple weeks ago, remember, just from sitting, I needed to use my walker.
Yep.
And haven't used any equipment, and I'm really happy about that.
Wow. That isn't, what do you attribute that to?
Some of it is, the breathing and stretching exercises. I also started a new medication around that time, around Thanksgiving, and I think my body might be getting used to it. So, but definitely mindset and, taking time to rest. Even though I feel a lot better, I've been really conscious about blocking my time for rest, and I think that's been monumental. So my problem is usually when I start feeling better, then I go gangbusters. I think about all the things I didn't do, and I'm not doing that. I'm using my planner. I'm only focusing on 3 things a day, and on a few days, one of those things has been rest. So I'm really trying to get my head around this pacing myself thing, which, by the way, I'm not very good at.
Why aren't you good at it?
Dead in the bed or going 500 miles an hour. It's hard. It's hard to lay down when you feel better. It's easy to lay down when you feel, completely in pain and super sick. But once you feel good, it's like, well, I don't want to lay down. I want to keep going.
Such a good point. For those of you who experience chronic pain, you totally get where Michelle is coming from right now. Right. We can't even imagine. I don't have chronic pain, so it's so hard for me to relate to the excruciating, pain that Michelle goes through, but also just how debilitating that could be for her sometimes. Her normal day sometimes is just resting. When she needs that has to be her normal day, but that hasn't been her life all the time. So for her to be able to come out and just be grateful, and it sounds like, grateful for your legs, that's a big friggin' thing. That's not a small thing. Yeah. But for her, that's a one of those joys that she gets to celebrate. I'm so grateful for Michelle having this incredible attitude, just to always be so generous with her time and her heart and her spirit, and just give, even though she needs so much herself just to get through a normal day. I don't even think normal, at least not the way we experience normal, is in her day anymore. Like maybe a moment of that in her day, but you haven't had that kind of a normal day in years. So thanks for sharing that, Michelle. It's good for us to always have perspective of, you know, when I complain about stupid stuff, it seems stupid to me now after hearing like, I get to walk without a cane today. Like, damn it, I suck.
Sorry, I didn't mean it like that, but it is significant because since Thanksgiving, I mean, I've hardly gone anywhere without, first of all, I've hardly gone anywhere at all. But to even around the house, to be able to get from room to room without a cane or a walker, that's huge for me. And it's really important in the morning because on the other days, it's like as soon as I stand up, I pretty much have to sit back down and grab some kind of adaptive equipment. And I'm not, you know, I'm not doing that right now. So that's really big.
That's awesome.
Huge thing.
I'm so happy for you.
Yay,
you're having that. You deserve it. It's a long time coming.
Yes, let's hope it lasts.
Kelly, you're so cute and tiny.
Right? She looks far away though. Like,
just the angle of the camera. There it is. What are you grateful for?
I have a song in my head from something you said, so.
Uh-oh. Let's hear it. Which one? Kelly's like a walking, talking jukebox.
You said joy, so I was like, we have joy, we have fun, we
have seasons in the sun.
Exactly. Although it is.
Wait, is that?
It's still raining here. Still raining.
So whatever we get, you know, the rest of the country is going to get too. So sorry.
Oh my gosh, I can't open my water.
My personal development reading, and in particular, this book that I got that I just started reading, and why I waited, I don't know. And it's called Inward by Young Pueblo. He went on hiatus to a meditation retreat for the last 30 days. So I've really missed him in my Instagram newsfeed. But he writes really short stuff. So if you think you can't read stuff, you know, this is like, that's like one page. And we were talking yesterday about, you know, those pivotal moments in our life and things like that. And I just want to read you something really quick because this stuck out. And for me, because I talked about self-love, but I think this goes for a lot of people too. It says, I spent so much time creating versions of myself that were far from the truth. Characters I would perform depending on who was around. Layers that could hide the inner dance of turmoil between my lack of confidence, the pain I did not understand, and the uneasiness that comes with reaching out to others for the love that I was not giving myself.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty good based on the stuff that I had talked about yesterday. I totally don't lose my phone. The stuff that I had talked about yesterday about not loving yourself and trying to be what others expected of you. And that really resonated with me last night when I was reading. So I wanted to share it with you. And that's what I am grateful for.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. I know a lot of you guys struggle. I've struggled so much with all the negative speak, you know, all that negative self-talk. Kelly talked about that. What it really boils down to is loving ourselves. And it's so hard, right? When we're kids, we're trained what love looks like by the people in our lives. And, you know, there are parents or our teachers or leaders in some way in our lives. And we have this expectation for all of those people to be perfect. And what they're doing must be the right way to do it. But yet sometimes it doesn't feel right, right? So sometimes if our parents make bad choices, or teachers or somebody like that makes bad choices, or they just have, you know, they just are struggling themselves with their own way of thinking in terms of, you know, having a healthy, mature mindset. But we think that that's the standard, and then we build resentments because we don't like that. And then we create that own story in our head, and we grow up with that, and we tuck that in the back of our mind, and we never question it. We just we question in the sense of this feels miserable and blame other people, and then we stay stuck in that place. I did that for years. Kelly did that for years. Michelle is very proactive. She wasn't like that, which is good. She's our little angel who
wait a minute. What are you talking about here? I've had terrible self-speak.
You do?
I used to have, yeah. Oh man, I would say the worst. I would say things to myself that I wouldn't say to my worst enemy. Horrible.
What? I didn't know that. When was that?
Horrible. That was over the last, even especially during the time when I was sick. I mean, at first I blamed myself, and you're just not strong enough. And then just with weight gain and other things, it's been like, yeah, like somehow I can't get out of that. Well, I can, because I know how to stop it and correct it. But for the longest, I mean, I would just look at myself and or even struggling like with mobility. Just some things come out of my brain that are completely self-defeating, and I have to constantly check myself and replace those thoughts with something positive. But absolutely, I struggle with that.
Michelle's number one go-to, we learned recently, is STFU. Right, Michelle? In those moments.
Oh, yes. And that's what I tell myself. STFU. Positive. Yeah, because it's so bad. Like this, it just comes out so ugly. So I just check it with STFU and keep it moving. Yeah.
I love it.
Done.
Well, I stand corrected. All three of us have dealt with that. And I'm sure you guys have, at least in some way. If you've grown up having, a really good version of love demonstrated to you, and you didn't have to go through that, I'm just so happy for you that you were able to have that, and hopefully you pay that forward. I'm sure you do, because now that's in you. That's your known way of loving, of self-love. See, what am I grateful for? Gosh, I'm grateful for self-expression. That's something that, as part of that negative self-talk, I did not exercise a lot, because negative self-talk kind of breeds people pleasers. People pleasers can't speak freely, because if we do, we take great risk in being rejected, being unaccepted. And so therefore we keep inside of us our true expression of ourselves, the expression of our true selves. And we only express what we can anticipate other people around us might want to see from us or hear from us. So for years, most of my life, I did not self-express. And so I celebrate self-expression. I'm kind of hyper aware of it, having known that I didn't allow myself to do that, which created all kinds of other issues for me. Mostly just being like a fake person, just being a shell of a person, a chameleon that just like changes colors with who I'm with so that I could be accepted by that person. It's a very unempowered way of being. My daughter, on the other hand, is very confident in her self-expression. And it's hard for me. Sometimes it's overwhelming how bold she is, because I sit there and I admire it. But at the same time, it scares the schnizzle buns out of me sometimes, because I'm so used to like, no, just be quiet, just be invisible. Don't stir anything up. Don't like create any potential negative opinions about you. And I have to, STFU myself when I'm doing that to her. And so I have to catch myself, and she's very patient with me, which is really good. But self-expression, I think, is something that I'm very grateful for. It helps us to feel more authentic, which brings more joy into our lives. So I encourage all of you guys to be as self-expressive as you possibly can, in a very proactive and in a way that brings peace and joy to your lives. Have you guys had any experiences with self-expression, either holding back or just like putting it out there?
Yeah, I think you said something kind of profound, and that's being visible. And when I was growing up, like, children were to be seen and not heard. I mean, it was, just try to make yourself as small and, unobtrusive as possible. So, I resonate with that for sure. But I think that I've always been kind of a rebel. So I tend to sometimes express myself to the extreme. And I don't care. But I think it's part of my personality. I mean, even though I was taught to be kind of demure and, always keep your lips together and don't talk too loud, or, I just think that being kind of a crazy kind of personality, I think I've always been that way since I was a kid. So, damn you people who tried to stifle that. It didn't work.
Thank goodness.
Right? Imagine how
about
boring
you,
it
Kel?
would be.
Oh my gosh, I love my little Michelle pinup girl and her little sassiness.
Oh, I'm sassy, sassy,
I
sassy.
was supposed to be a wallflower. Totally. I didn't want people to see me. I'd slip in the back of the room. I'd sit in the back. The only place I would be up front is aerobics class.
Fitness.
Right?
And probably math class, right?
Yeah. The math class. I'd be in the back. But I needed to hear or see. So yeah, that's one place that I would be up front. And yeah. So, and I like to see it like in the mirrors, because it would from behind I could see people too, but it was easier for me mentally to have the people like see that whole sea of people, so that when I was working I could push harder because I could see everybody.
Kelly would look for the girl in the mirror who was the strongest. She's like, I gotta kick her ass and then I'm gonna feel good. Right?
Not like personally, just kind of like
I gotta out exercise her. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I will outrun her.
Yeah. And Kelly, why was that going through your mind? How was that like a people pleasing thing for you? Is it just to feel like if I'm the strongest, then people will accept me, then I'm acceptable, validated? What?
That was more the time for me when it was like punishment workouts.
Oh.
The escape type stuff. I was working so hard to please other people that was my outlet of everything hanging on to. And so the harder I could work, the more I could sweat, the more breathless I could be, then I knew I did a good job, according to me. So yeah. So it was a really just a big mental game. I mean, I'm naturally competitive anyway. As an athlete, I think most athletes are. So that's just part of who I am, but it's not as big or it's not as strong as it was during that time of my life. So it's still there. It's just not for the same reasons.
Yeah, and that's a good point. She said for herself, and that's the whole thing, right? Is when we're doing that because we created that story that we've got to do that. Nobody put that on us. We put that on ourselves. But being that chameleon, what I found was that people couldn't really trust that fake person who shape shifted every time they were with a different group of people. How do you trust a person that's like that? They're, like I said, they're a shell. You can't stand by that person. You don't know where you stand with that person. And so it was difficult for me to have deep, meaningful relationships when I was going through that time of being that person. And not only that, not that people had a hard time getting close to me. That was part of it. But the other part of it was exhausting to be around people. That's a lot of work to constantly anticipate trying to be a specific thing that you think they want you to be. Like there's so much like mental work and effort going on around that thought and that belief, that I started becoming a little bit of a recluse because it was just too exhausting to try and win everybody's approval every time I interacted with people. So I just stopped interacting with people that much. And that's not a good direction to go at all. Did you ever find that, you guys?
Yeah. It was very like, because you can never get to that spot where you think like, okay, I've made it, or I've done it, or I've pleased them, or it's just you never get there. So it's running. You can't stop. You just keep going and going and going and going, and you're spent. You're exhausted.
Yeah. It's a no-win game that you're playing there. So it's important, right, to just self-express authentically and find your way in there. Might be kind of scary at first. There's already areas in your life where you are truly authentically self-expressing. And tap into where those feel like they're coming from here and expand from that. Okay, so we have a question of the day. We want to know too from you guys, like, what are you grateful for? What's been going on in your life where maybe you have had some people pleasing? Maybe that's never been an issue for you. Maybe you have strong feelings about people who have been people pleasers in your life, like that, you haven't had good experiences, in how you think about those kind of people. I'd love to hear that too. We'd all love to hear that and just kind of get your feeling on those kinds of things. It's Let's talk about those issues. I think it's important for us to communicate those things, because there are people who struggle with that on both sides. People who struggle with being around a people pleaser, and then people who struggle as the people pleaser. And those are important issues for us to be able to figure out. So socially, we can engage each other and celebrate each other and help each other get, move to another level, get out of that stuck space. All right. So the question of the day, you guys, you ready?
Yep.
What does success look like to you? I love, love, love this question. Oh my gosh. As a coach, when I'm coaching my clients and they are coming in with this feeling of not enoughness, which is a big theme, right? Everybody hears about this, kind of somewhat maybe overused, but anyways, I think it's great that this is terminology that people are discussing right now, this awareness around not enoughness. And it comes from this idea that they're not succeeding in something. Now, mind you, my clients are all high achievers in some areas of their life. They're attracted to high performance. So they're already ambitious, they're already achieving, they're already successful in the eyes of other people around them. But why then do they come to have more coaching? Well, they want to get to another level. They want to feel more successful than they are. But the challenge is they haven't defined what success actually looks like. So what are they chasing? They're chasing a word that has no definition specifically. So of course they're going to just keep going, I've achieved this, but I still don't feel successful. Well, if you don't define what that looks like for you, at least as a starter, version 1 of the success definition, to know what you got to shoot for so you can get clarity as you're going towards that. And then if that evolves, great, then redefine it. You don't have to marry one definition for your whole life, right? As you evolve your definition, as I have more successes, my definition of legacy, my definition of success, my goals, they evolve and they change. I level them up as I level up. Hopefully you guys are doing that too. My clients are doing that. So I love this question, because for some of you, you're going to get so unstuck when you create this definition. So Michelle, are you ready for that one, or Kelly? Which one of you guys wants to go first?
I hate first.
Okay, I'll go first. So for me, let's just take success for 2019. Okay, that's
okay.
what I want to talk about. So for me, that is going to look like this. It looks like this. Me being in balance and finding that equilibrium in my life where I can do what I want to do on a daily basis. And I think that whole idea of pacing myself and making every day manageable chunks based on how I'm feeling, that's hugely successful for me. Because once I calculated last year, I spent almost 70% of the year in bed, like not being productive at all. So for me, this year, coming out of that state and really trying to spend every day focusing on not only what do I need and want to get done, but on really, that self-care aspect and making the balance, because I need to be here for you guys. I need to be here for my husband, my son, my parents. There's people that, are counting on me. And the only way that I can show up for them is to be in that balanced state, not in constant flare mode. So that's huge for me. And if I can pull that off, then I'm going to feel like I just made $1 million.
You can pull that off. You can pull that off. This is the important thing about defining what success means to you, because once you have that definition, you can actually set goals. And once you can set goals, you can create the roadmap. Once you create the roadmap, you have something to follow that's going to guarantee that you're going to actually achieve success. So it's not a hope anymore. It will happen if you do the work of creating that roadmap. So I love that, Michelle, that you have that definition. And sometimes it takes a year like last year for you to know what success does actually look like. Again, that was the thing that changed your definition of success, right? That event, that year. Kels, how about you?
It's funny. I used to think, like, when we're younger, success is that corner office, making lots of money. I mean, that's just kind of what I grew up thinking. But as I, look at my life, I'm 48 years old, and I look at what's really important to me now. And to me, success is just being happy and having that balance of happiness, like doing what I want to do in my life that makes me happy, spending time with people that make me happy. And I think, it's something like I can be happy, like this morning, I could be happy, and that's good, but it's sustained happiness. It's like, what am I doing to move myself forward? And if I ever reach that, then how do I get to that next level? I think that's really, how can I share that with the people close to me in my life, my family, so that they can share in that as well. And I think that's just something like asking myself a question, or I've just added it, is, am I happy? Was I happy today? Did I do anything that made me happy? I mean, that's a really loaded question, but sometimes taking a walk makes me happy. I work out every day. That doesn't always make me happy, but I'm happy I did it. Just little things like that. Did I spend my time wisely? And those are the kind of things that the planner helps me figure out. Is, where am I at on my happiness scale? What do I need to improve or work harder at, or what am I avoiding that could make me happy, but maybe it's too hard. Maybe I'm in the fear spot of, well, it's too hard, I really don't want to do that. Okay, first off, is the goal worth it? If it is, then you need to start working through the issues, that struggle of why it's so hard to get there. So it's really a lot of stuff, but the goal being happiness. Is I want to be happy. I want 2019 to be big happy.
I love big happy.
Yes, big happy is a good goal. It's a good definition for success. Okay, so for me, what does success look like to me? For me, it's constantly growing and growing my thinking, maturing my thinking, and constantly giving back. So it's almost like a cycle or a flow loop, like just like a loop of flowing energy. Grow, give, grow, give, grow, give, grow, give. So for me, if I can constantly be living in that space, that is success. I don't care about money. I mean, I care about money. I don't say I don't care about money. I don't need money in that loop to equal success. The money stuff works itself out when you're in that space. That's what I believe anyway. I have to have money. I have big plans with lots of money. So it's not that I'm not going for that. That is definitely part of my success formula. But in terms of like what success looks like for me, when I'm in that place where money is not something that is top of mind because it's there already, it's there as it should be in my life, and it's looked at and used as it should be in my life, then I'm in that place of just being able to continually learn and continually give back what I learned to those who need that. That's what success looks like for me.
Love it. I think it's interesting that none of us said money.
Yeah.
Right? What does that say?
Well, and it's an interesting point, right, that you guys said, because we grow up, with an idea of what money is. And this is how I see, like, this is what comes up with a lot of my clients is they're trying to achieve what success looks like to their parents. So they're growing up and our parents are mentoring us. And this is not a bash on our parents at all. This is their well-intended efforts to get us in a direction that's going to create successful, happy life for them based on what they defined as success, right? What else do they have to go off of? So, pushing us towards certain kinds of education and certain kinds of careers, certain amount of income, certain family size, living in certain areas, and all of those kinds of things are all tied into success from lots of different generations, including our generation. But that was the programming. So we grow up as kids trying to achieve success based on our parents' definition of success. A lot of times, not every time, a lot of times. But then when we grow up and become adults, we realize, like, I don't really want that. And so a lot of my clients, they they've achieved those things. They've overachieved those things. They've achieved beyond what their parents had hoped for them to achieve. And yet they're still like, I'm not successful. I'm like, you are really successful. Actually, you have a lot going on. You're, you know, a wealthy person with a successful business and career. You have healthy kids and a family. You live in a beautiful place and a beautiful home. Like, when you say you're not successful, what is that? Why not? And so it comes up that that's not their definition of success. And so that's why they feel unfulfilled. And what I do notice too, and I guess I would add to that loop, or it would be like a category within my loop of learn and then give back. And that is the spiritual side, the soul side has to be in there. But I think that's very much a part of the soul, the loop that we're talking about here. But what I see my clients are missing is that connection with the soul aspect of how that's linked into all the things that they're doing. Like, they're missing that connection, the spiritual soul connection to all the stuff that they have going on. So they're obviously not complaining about the success they have going on in their lives, but they are feeling unconnected, disconnected from that. So once they get that, everything changes. It's so interesting because sometimes they come and they feel like that missing piece is what's troubling them, and they don't change anything about their environment. But we just do some work defining things and working through the fears and whatever the blocks are, and suddenly they think their life is the greatest thing in the world. Where they work, where they were unsatisfied before, they're so grateful for now. Their family, who they're having issues with, they're doing everything they can to make those the best relationships of their lives. They love the car that they took for granted. Very nice, Teslas, which they wanted. That was a sign of success, but they still weren't happy. Now they love that car, for example. Do you guys ever find that too, that when you just like change the definition of something, nothing else outside of you really needed to change?
Right.
But yet it feels new, right?
It's awareness, I think. Being like we all had our own little definitions, but if we didn't realize that, we'd be chasing something totally different. Just like the Tesla didn't make you happy. Like, oh, cool, I got a great which I love Teslas, but a car doesn't make me happy. It doesn't bring my family closer together, or those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. Before I got sick, I mean, I was vice president of international sales and marketing of a $30 million company. I owned a condo in Laguna Niguel. I drove that car. I had everything, and I was still completely not happy because none of that stuff was really important to me. But in my mind, in my little kid brain, I had to be that go-getter and go conquer the world. And it didn't really bring me any joy. It was just something I did every day for 12 years with no vacation. And I mean, I really was very, stuck in that mode, and it never made me happy. I mean, I have been so much happier now that I'm sick, which is funny but I have to look at all the good things that came out of that, So I think that I can totally relate to that. And I think that's probably a common thing, that you dive too heavily into one aspect of your life, like making money or climbing the ladder, getting the house, getting the car, doing all those things. I mean, you could even argue that's part of the problem with the American dream. Everybody's looking for those status symbols as signs of success. And then once you have the house and the cars and everything else, then what? It's time to trade up your spouse. I mean, you see people doing this. It's true. You see people doing this. It's like, well, I've got a Bentley now. I've got a mansion. Well, I'm still not happy. It must be my wife or my husband, whatever. And you see marriages fall apart, and because I think that they don't have the markers and the plan, like Paula said, with what it really means to be successful and to be happy. There's no understanding of that, and so
And then, so therefore they're not setting the right goals. They're not taking the right actions, because as we know, whatever's going on in here, the thought creates the action, which creates the reality. So if they're miserable in here about what they feel is success or what they're not succeeding in, they're finding, their actions are a result of that. And so they're creating that reality where it's subconsciously potentially sabotaging relationships, like Michelle said. They're not getting along with people because they think the people are the reason why they're not happy and fulfilled and having meaningful lives. And as opposed to if they created their own definition and said, this is my spouse, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this relationship works, even when it's rocky, when it's difficult, then that's what's going to happen. They think that way, then the actions are going to be that way, and then the reality will be that way. And that's when we look up to the most, some of the people that I look up to who are very successful in all areas of life, in health and business and finances and career, and taking care of like their personal interests, like hobbies and things like that. They have incredibly successful marriages, like for 60 years. Harvey Mackay is one of my favorites I love to look up to. He's like 87 years old, and he's had the same wife his whole life, and the dude is loaded. Like, he has so much money, so much success. He's written multiple New York Times bestsellers. He has an empire, basically. And I'm not saying that he says that it's easy, then it's been easy, but he made it a priority. That was how he chose to define success, and he never quit on his dream of what success looks like. So he did everything he had to do. And one of the times I loved when he got up on stage and spoke, he said that he has a coach for everything. Like, wherever he wants to succeed, he's got a coach for it, so that he doesn't get off track there. So he has a marriage coach, he has a stretch coach, a tennis coach, a business coach, a personal development coach, like you name it. If whatever he can afford, he and he could afford pretty much everything by that point. But he just made it his priority, so that what was so he wouldn't fail. And I think that that's brilliant. Good point, Michelle.
I also, talking on the lines of awareness, and even what Michelle said, it made me think of, and also Paula, when you mentioned the soul and the spiritual stuff, in my last session, I had a spiritual coach, William Dale. We had him on a podcast a while back.
We love William.
I know.
We love William.
And we were talking about the universe and signs and being aware and gut feelings and manifestation, all those kinds of things. But the fact that the universe does give you signs, and just a lot of times we don't pay attention.
Right.
Like when we're not supposed to be somewhere and you have that feeling, but you don't pay attention to it, and then something happens. Or an easy way for me to describe it is when I'm working out and I'm struggling. I'm just like, every lift of my arm and leg is just a struggle, and I'm tired and my body's fatigued, and I know myself well enough. So this is one time I do pay attention. Say, wait a minute, I need to stop. This is not, I'm going to hurt myself. So I know I'm not supposed to be in that place. Just like pushing yourself really hard at work, and you're not paying attention to the signs that the universe is sending you that says, you need self-care, and then boom, sick, and you're down and you're out, those kinds of things. It's really interesting when you start to think about it, that it's supposed to be somewhere or do something. Or, I look at like Michelle's situation, and she is now doing her life's work. It took a whole lot of crap in between, but she is going full bore into her life's work. And she didn't know that way back then. There was a series of events that happened, whether it's, broken up families, whatever. There are signs, and we just need to be aware, and we need to pay attention. And that definition of success for you, whatever that might be, really think about that, and then concentrate on that and make that your goal, so that you are paying attention to what's going on around you.
Yeah, I agree. One of my favorite tools right now that I've been using, and I've been recommending to all my clients, is Darren Hardy's Live Your Best Year Ever planner. It's a goal setting workbook. It's free online. You can Google live your best year ever .pdf, and you can get that for free as a downloadable and work through that. It's intense. It's an intense thing to work through, but it really helps you get your perspective straight on what's really important to you. Because we all kind of have that surface level of the things that we're excited about and passionate about, top of mind, that we're working towards, getting momentum on. And we think that all our goals really need to be around that. And everything else is just like, you know, autopilot. But when you go through this workbook, you realize like one of my favorite exercises, and I've seen this before, this workbook, and you guys probably have too, but there's this diagram of like basically spokes of a wheel. And each spoke represents a different area of life that creates happiness. So the idea being that when those spokes are balanced, then the wheel runs smoothly, like a circle, you know, like a wheel. But what we do is each spoke has these little hash marks for ratings, and you rate yourself 1 to 10, and you put a little dot on that spoke, and then you connect all the dots. So it ends up being like this for a lot of people, right? Not just a perfect circle, everything's rated out of 10, which would be great, but like this one's a 10, this one's a 2, this one's a 7, this one's a bit. And so it looks, you know, when you connect the dots, it looks like this. It doesn't look like a wheel, it looks more like a star of some kind. There it is. Yeah, Kelly's showing it. Put it closer, Kelly. There. Oh, that's a pretty good wheel there, girl. You can get around on that one.
Wheel,
it'd be a little bumpy.
Right?
That'd be a bumpy one, but it would still go.
Of course, with Kelly, it had to be a perfect geometric shape.
No
right?
kidding. Oh my gosh. What page is that, Kelly? I feel competitive now. I gotta look at what mine is. What page is that?
The 55.
55. Oh shoot, that's a worksheet page. So I gotta figure out what step that is.
Oh, it's step 4.
Oh, step 4. Okay. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. This is my wheel. That thing's going nowhere. That thing is stuck. So basically,
like an amoeba.
It does. It's not gonna.
Yeah, bigger goals in all these areas too. If I'm not well, it's time for me to step it up.
Yep. So, and that's the thing. Before you even set goals, you kind of look at where you're at first. You know what you've already done and where you're at, and then like where I thought like I was gonna set goals, I'm like, holy smokes! Like I'm actually doing pretty good in that area, but I'm really sucking in this other area. And then it made me realize like I really need to change my goals to get those other weaker areas up higher. Otherwise, that's gonna bite me in the ass later, and I'm gonna be miserable. So so I changed my goals to be around those weaker areas, but still somehow like bring in some of the other stuff. But anyway, it's just such an awesome tool. It really gets you into that space of really understanding yourself better based on what feels real for you, true and real and authentic for you. And that is the key. Tina says that money isn't everything to be happy and successful. We agree that she was agreeing with us. She says success means taking care of her family and helping others that are in need. What a sweetie. Yes, she's very generous and giving all the time. She said, she was saying that she thought like that too until she moved out of state, but now her mentality is totally different in terms of like her environment. Yeah, sounds great, everyone. Have to sign off. Bye, Jeannie. Thanks for hopping on, babe. Oh, your cousin's on, Michelle. That's awesome.
My baby cousin.
We'd love to hear what you guys say in terms of like what your definition of success is. If you've ever used that tool or a tool that's like that, the Live Your Best Year Ever by Darren Hardy. He's most well known for his book, his best-selling book called The Compound Effect. Small, like 100-page book. So awesome. If you haven't read it, you guys have to grab that book. That is a game-changing book. He's a master at being able to identify key activities that should be happening in your life to achieve the things that you want and tracking those activities. He is brilliant when it comes to that, getting rid of distractions, focusing on just the stuff that matters. But that is so good. So, you know, we talk a lot about success too in Hero Mom Nation. In Hero Mom Legacy Academy, success, everybody has to define their own success there too. But what we know is that once people make the decision to take responsibility for their health. That's where they come in. They've already taken responsibility. They want the guide, they want the material, the program, they want the mentors. They're ready to go for it. We know that ambition to do more doesn't come until they succeed with getting control of their health. And so that's why we focus first on body intelligence when people come into Hero Mom Nation, because we know once they get that on lockdown, it is limitless for them. Then we start exploring other areas like emotional management, emotional intelligence and relationship intelligence and courage intelligence and future intelligence. We talk about legacy. Like, we really open it up for you guys to just start going for it in all areas of your life. Did I miss anything? Time intelligence. Did I get them all?
Time, emotional, relationship, future, courage, body.
Yeah, I got them all. Woohoo! And legacy. So, you guys, we encourage you, if you don't feel like you're in control of your health the way you know you want to be, like you feel it in your gut, you feel it in your soul, if it's there or if it's not there, then I absolutely encourage you, come check out Hero Mom Nation. Click on that link, join us over there so that you guys can see what's going on in there and see if that's a fit for you. If it is, then get in our program. We're still accepting people in our challenge and documentary. If you guys want to jump in on that, we're just getting started on that stuff. So it's a perfect time to jump in. When you get into Hero Mom Nation, you can click on the banner and you'll find the information on the diet and challenge, but get in there anyway. Just hang out with us. If you're a woman, if you're a dude, get a girl in your life, have her come join us. Have her come hang out with us. It's filled with women like us, and it's an incredible, nurturing, wonderful, positive atmosphere for women who are looking to define their legacies and go for it, starting with health. Kelly Michelle, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to say that if you're on the fence about joining Hero Mom Nation, it's an amazing, amazing group of women, and it's a completely safe space. So we don't block the guys because we're anti-guy or whatever. We made it for women only because we know that in some of this work that we're going to do, a lot of emotional stuff comes out. So we made it, private group for women only. So it's totally safe, completely positive. Like, just jump in and take a look. If you don't like it, you can leave the group. There's no strings attached. So, but for sure, it's a completely safe place to be and wonderful place to be.
And the only requirement is that you're a woman. You don't have to be a mom. You could have plants. You could have caterpillars. You could have lizard.
Mice.
You could have a snake. So just join us, because Michelle Royale Vidal has the bomb.com recipes, which I just made one last night.
I saw that. They look so good.
Oh my God.
You had never made that recipe before? Shame on you, Kelly.
Which one?
Oh my goodness. The fish tacos. She had never made fish tacos.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, those are so good. And did you do it with the spicy sauce?
Yes, she did.
That's one of my favorite. Did you use the chicharrones?
We did, yes.
And that was so easy, right? Wasn't it super easy?
Very easy. Dan,
yeah.
Up in no time. I did the slaw, and yeah, we were good to go. So it was fantastic. And not just one recipe, it's a bajillion recipes that are put out there, and we have numerous cookbooks that Michelle's put together for us, and she's a fantastic chef. I'm going to say she is a chef. And but you don't have to.
I apologize to all my chef friends.
Yes. But you don't have to be like that to make these. It's following very easy recipes. They're not overloaded with tons of ingredients or ingredients that are weird that you would never find anywhere. They're just simple, healthy, good, and family friendly. So join in the nation, and you can be a part of that too and see all our mouth-watering pictures.
Right? Yum.
If you love food like we do, you got to get in there. All right, you guys, you have an awesome, awesome rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Mwah. Go put your cape on, everyone.